There you go. Now we're audio.
Try it again. Hello, 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 and welcome back. Spasibo to lecture number 4 of Russia. We have been doing this for like a week and a half now. We've got all the way to the 4th lecture. I've queued up about 50 hours on 3 lectures. And tonight's lecture is lecture 4, Serfs Up, Dimitri/Dude. We are going to podcast here on Facebookers and the YouTubes, just to alert folks that I have been and will continue to be doing live lectures 3 nights a week over on our channel on Twitch. But I know there's lots more people that are still married to Facebook and YouTube, so they go there first and they get a notification. No pressure to love me, or much less like me. I should have said, strike that, reverse it. There's no pressure to like me, much less love me or click on me. However, there are lots of folks who are my Facebook friends and YouTube followers who have found a passion for listening to me rant about different places of the world over the years. And this is the format, the platform of which many of you are on, that I can reach out to you and say, hey, if you still like some Boyer lecture, we're still doing them just over on Twitch. And tonight's will be a doozy if you want to hear about the depressing world of Russian serfs for several centuries. That always brings them out in droves. But you got to understand this stuff so that you understand the evolution of Russia and where it's at today, and why the citizens of Russia, let's not call them serfs, why the citizens of Russia today act and behave the way that they do. There is a certain historical legacy about it, and a certain historical legacy of the leadership of Russia that has a lot to do with this era of serfdom in Russia. So it's not all about serfdom. We're going to start the lecture kind of backing up. I did a whole lecture on Russian Eastern Orthodoxy, a lecture about Eastern Orthodoxy and Russia's role in it and its impacts on Russia. So I'm going to get back to that for those that are just first-timers accidentally popping in here on Facebook or YouTubers going, what the hell's Boyer doing? What's up, Boyer dude? Well, first off, it's Dimitri. I'm Professor Dimitri for this series of lectures. And here's what we've been doing. We did a lecture on the physical realm of Russia. Then we did the peeps, the growth of the state. We folded that in with history, early beginnings, major periods of growth of the Russian Empire. Then, because the viewers wanted it, we teased off a whole separate lecture of Eastern Orthodoxy, which I have never done before. I think it went smashingly well, Katie. What do you think? I had a good time. I learned a lot about Eastern Orthodoxy and its impacts on Russia, and I hope the viewers did too. And tonight, we're to a new topic. Lecture number 4, the political economic situation of the Rus from the 12th to all the way up to the 20th century. This is a broad sweep. I'm not going to give a whole bunch of historical detail. I'm not talking about every ruler and every czar. You know me, I'm a generalist. So I'm going to set the stage for the preceding 7 centuries in Russia before we get to the all-critical 20th century, which plays out some major world events. Major events for Russia itself, but then Russia becomes a world player that affects lots of other world events. So before I get to the lecture tomorrow about the 20th century and all these major revolutions that occurred in Russia and the major things that Russia was involved in, I wanted to set the stage of like, oh, and here's what was going on in Russia before they got to that point, which is why there was all these revolutions and all this Russian shizzle hitting the fan in the Russian hizzle. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. How much time I got before we got to switch over? 1 more minute. So just to give you a little teaser, if you want to jump over and join us on Twitch in just a minute as I restart this lecture and run all the way through it, should only be about an hour. Famous last words, but actually, I think I can do this in an hour. I actually don't want to talk much more about Russian serfdom for 7 centuries than an hour because it's so freaking depressing. I can't do more than an hour of it. So we're going to start off with the sweep of aristocracy that I've talked about in previous lectures, and then get to, all right, how did all of that stuff affect their Eastern versus Western views, major overarching themes that Russia went in different directions, and then we'll get to What about the rest of the Russians? Historians and most folks typically just let's look at the famous people in major events. But the famous people in any society are a fraction. What was life like for the rest of Russians? That's what I'm going to focus on tonight and get it all the way up to about 1905 when Russia gets its ass handed to it by the Japanese. So if you're interested in that sweep and this historical topics and the evolution of Russia and Russian peoples and serfdom, please jump over to our Twitch channel starting right about now and get the whole story, 'cause Serfs up, Russian style. See you in just a minute.